Welcome back to a bonus episode on my BMW M5. As you can see, it has multiplied. So if you guys have been keeping up with the 6K Sports Sedan Challenge, you will know that this is my 1999 BMW E39 M5. But this video isn't about this M5. It is about this M5. 1991 BMW M5 E34.
Got a bit of an M5 problem, everybody. He can't stop buying them.
Listen, what happened was this car came up. I've always wanted an E34 M5. I just sold my E28 BMW and this was for sale for 10,500 Canadian or 8,000 US dollars, and I couldn't pass it up, DP.
No,
I couldn't.
He's never seen a deal he wanted to pass up.
And I mean,
sure.
I've wanted one of these since high school. I remember having a poster with it. I thought this was the coolest car.
They are super cool.
There's so many
really
neat things, like the turbine wheels on this thing. So I was like, I had to have it, so I purchased it. I essentially now have two M5s for the price of one good one,
right?
Which is what it comes down to. This being 6K, this being 8K. You know, a decent M5 is anywhere from like 15 to 20K.
Yeah,
so
true.
You know what?
And to be fair, you did sell your E28 for more than you paid for this.
Yes.
So it's not a bad trade-out if you look at it that way.
It's not. It's totally not. It, however, does need work, which we will get to in a moment, which essentially this video is just like looking at this car. We've covered this car off in previous videos. I'll make sure to provide some links, so if you're interested in the driving experience and everything wrong with this one, watch those videos. But let's just give everybody a quick rundown. This is 400 horsepower, 369 foot-pounds of torque.
Yeah, that's right.
And this one here, inline six.
310 horsepower and what was it,
265. That's right.
Feet,
so yeah, V8 here, inline six. Both very different cars. We'll drive this one in a bit, but first let's look at everything wrong with this one. So let's start off with the exterior on this car. I'm gonna jump to the most obvious problem, the problem that probably so many of you looked at and said, what's going on here? Why is this car sagging in the rear? What is wrong with this vehicle? It's got massive ride height here. In the back, it's just sagged, and that's because this is a self-leveling suspension, and the hydraulic shocks in the rear are blown, which means the car has sagged. And that seems to be a common problem on these cars. People put automatic transmission fluid into the power steering reservoir, which is connected. There's lines that run from the front all the way to the back to the shocks, and the automatic transmission fluid degrades the seals in the shock, and then you have this. So this is something I'm gonna have to address very soon. I just hate the way the car looks right now. I'm gonna go to a proper coilover setup, probably from KW Suspension, and get this thing dialed in. In terms of body, this is actually, the reason why I bought this car is it's pretty clean. It doesn't have any rust. I feel like it's had a respray up here, but it's just got really good bones underneath. It is somewhat low mileage. It's 167,000 kilometers, which is just around 100,000 miles. So in terms of life cycle and whatnot, I think it's still got plenty of good life left in it. But you know, there's like your typical issues. The plastic is faded. The front headlights are all faded. The M5 logo here needs some work. As you'll see on the other side, one of these glass lenses is just fallen off, unfortunately. So that's kind of a bummer. And it's got your like typical trim issues around the windshield where like this is all rotten and cracked. I actually don't know if you can replace this without having to pull the glass. That'd be amazing if I can, because that'd be kind of a quick and easy fix. I feel like I'm gonna replace all of the lights and whatnot. Like this is cracked. But like overall, if you look at it, it's just got a decent paint job and nothing that I can complain about. Now, one of the coolest features, I think, on any E34 M5 is they came with two different options for wheels. The first one was the more common throwing star, which is like a 5-spoke, really neat wheel. And the other one is this, which is the turbine, which is my personal favorite. It's kind of like an eclectic look, an homage back to the 80s race cars that had these types of turbines on it, but it's such a cool thing. It's actually a one-piece wheel, and this bolts on, so you can change out the face of it to the throwing star, which I actually have. So super neat wheel. I think such a cool design, something that really makes this car stand out. In here, you're gonna notice right away is this nasty patch that has been done here to fix this seat. So I am gonna have to address that. Somebody just decided to put a black piece of leather on gray. Why they couldn't match it, I don't know. It's so terrible. The other thing is the shift knob. This actually just fell off on the drive here today. It has seen better days, so that is done here. The leather's kind of faded off. And speaking of leather, there's all these like weird leather areas here, these touch points that I don't really know if this is OEM or not. It's cracked. It looks like it's been wrapped or not. This one you peel back and it feels like there's like glue on. Look at this thing. This is just coming off. There's a nasty drywall screw in there, so not good. I think I'm gonna have to really think long and hard on how to fix this stuff. It's hard to find these materials now to rewrap. The radio does not work. I mean, this is an awful radio. This is like full 90s spec, the one that has this like dark screen, and then when you turn it on, this flips down. So I don't know if the amplifier in this car is blown, but that's gonna have to be addressed. What I do love is this. This is like the old trip computer. So it gives you all the information that you want. Miles per gallon, your range, your speed. You've got a timer on there, so super neat. I love the dash. Like to me, this is classic M BMW, very Spartan. And the other issue is the headliner here is sagging really bad in the back. So I'm gonna have to address that. I really hate the idea of having to drop the headliner, but it may be something that that's done, or I might find somebody local that does this type of work that can really like restore this, because I'm just not very good at it. The interesting part about this car is it is a 4-seater, so it's not a 3-person bench in the rear. It has this like center section, which is super neat and rare actually. I think only the early M5s came with it, whereas they switched over to a proper bench in the rear, but it kind of gives you that like super saloon feeling there. It's onto the engine, but before that, check out the way this hood opens. Man, I don't know if I love or hate it. It's certainly unique though. Tell me in the comments, do you like the way this hood opens, or are you used to this, the opposite way, and is that the way to go? I mean, there are a few, I don't even know if a manufacturer exists that makes it this way, but nevertheless, super cool thing. Speaking of cool, this engine, S38 B36, 3.6 liter inline 6, making 310 horsepower, 268 foot-pounds of torque, the epitome of BMW engineering in the late 80s, early 90s. Such a cool motor, 10-to-1 compression, individual throttle bodies. Speaking of those though, I do find the throttle kind of sticks on this thing. It's a little bit like on and off. It's not very transient and smooth. I don't know if that's an adjustment issue that needs to be done or whatnot. Again, I'm not a huge expert on this engine, so if you guys can school me, educate me in the comments, by all means do so. Speaking of adjustment, I'm pretty sure this vehicle hasn't had a valve lash adjustment done. These have solid lifters, and from what I read, like every 25,000 kilometers, you're supposed to check them and whatnot. So that's also going to be on the to-do list. Otherwise, like there's just small little things like the rad fan shroud is missing, but there's no rust. It's kind of dirty. It does need a little bit of a cleanup. Like I would really like to take this off, clean it up, you know, paint the valve cover. Overall, I think this engine seems to be in good working order. In the future, I'll do a compression test on it, check it out. There's a bunch of sensors that do need replacing. The oil pressure sensor is giving me like a warning light. The coolant level sensor's got a warning light, so I'll address all that stuff in the future. Jumping underneath, let's start this off by looking at this front air dam. This side is peculiar. It's kind of fake. On this side here though, this is a true proper vent. And this actually travels all the way here. I thought it was for the air intake, but this goes up to the alternator. This cools the alternator. Super neat. I don't exactly know why. Maybe when you're ripping 200 kilometers on the Autobahn, your alternator's getting hot and it needs to be cooled.
Is it right by the header, maybe?
No, the header's on this side.
Oh, weird.
So it's completely, I don't know, man. Huh. Anyways, super cool. Like every BMW, like my E39, it's all wet here. Really, really wet here. I don't see the oil pan is not leaking. There is, however, I think a valve cover leak because up in here, it is like mega, mega wet, which I'm sure is a common thing. If the valve cover hasn't been replaced in a while, it just like drips all the way down. So this is all covered. Rust-wise though, like look at this car. It is pretty much free of it. I should mention this car actually came from out west. It spent some time down in the States as well, which is why if you have a keen eye, you'll notice that the speedometer on this car is miles per hour, not kilometers per hour, which is what it should be. It is a Canadian car though, like I've checked the VIN and whatnot, so somebody's just replaced the face there. And the really weird thing that Dave and I just noticed about this car is there seems to have been a weird Bondo job done on both corners here. Like, I don't even know what it's for because it doesn't look like anything is actually really rusted or broken. Like if I just peel this back, look, there's just metal underneath. So maybe it's because it's split here or something, but someone's like gone full amateur spec and loaded this thing up with like Bondo in these areas, which is just kind of crazy. I don't really know why. Very, very weird. This side is kind of worse. You can see there's just like a lot of it. But other than that, like underneath here, the transmission looks pretty sweaty. These are super cool headers. These are stainless steel, equal length headers that really, there's aftermarket options, but they don't make a ton of power. So I think I'm just leaving most of that alone. We're gonna clean some of this stuff up, maybe see where this mess is coming from here. Another odd thing, there's a big dent right here. So I don't know, maybe from a rock or something that got bottomed out here and put a dent here, but otherwise on this side, it's not there. It's pretty clean, all of that. And back here, the diff's sweaty, not terrible, but really the thing that I mentioned about the self-leveling suspension, like over here, there is a ton of like oil and dirt that's kind of like caked onto it now. Like this shock is just covered in it, which is crazy. This one's also as bad. So I did notice the exhaust is cracking a little bit here, which is a huge bummer because I was hoping to keep this exhaust system. I might drop this and have this welded up, but actually if you guys know of aftermarket options that sound good, like I don't want this car to sound overly loud, so I'd like something that's kind of low key, but maybe has a little bit more grunt than stock, so certainly let me know. All right, well, I think that's about it here. It is time we take this thing for a drive.
Here we are. I like it, Peter, already. It's very Teutonic in here. It's very German. I'm not used to all these buttons with weird names on it, like consume and ARR. I don't know what those do, but I'm intrigued.
Yeah, it is Spartan.
It is Spartan, yeah.
It is the definition of 90s German engineering.
Yeah.
And the driving experience is also very German,
okay.
Albeit a worn out one.
Okay.
As you can see, the suspension
does feel a little soft.
It feels like your Lexus.
Yeah.
It floats down the street here. You can see the bumps don't
does not
get
like
absorbed very well.
Yeah,
the suspension is completely warm. That SLS system in the back is just shot, as I mentioned, and because of that, it just
I mean, it's not terrible, but it's not inspiring.
You can feel it. It's like it's floaty in the back.
Very
See,
floaty,
it's like very, very floaty. Not what an M5 should feel like. And the shifter, man, compared to the E39, this one, look at it's just like
a lot of slop. Yeah, wow.
A ton of slop there. You put it into gear, and there's a ton of slop.
Still some slop, yeah.
Clutch is heavy.
Okay.
Which is, I'm sure it's an aftermarket one at this point, but yeah, it just feels much heavier than the V8, and like power-wise, it's pretty decent. Yeah. You know, it's obviously it being a inline six, it doesn't have that response down low, but like, you know, we're at 2,500 RPM and you stomp it, it's like, whoa, where's it going?
It takes a minute.
But yeah, it kind of has that VTEC crossover at 4,000 RPM, where it'll start picking up. Like, let me downshift. There's 4,000.
Okay, now
you're talking. Now we're talking, right?
Yeah. Wow, that revs pretty good.
Yeah.
What does it rev to?
7,000, a little bit over 7,000.
Okay.
Like in first and second gear, it feels nice. It certainly like wants to pick up if I punch it here.
Oh yeah. Okay.
See that there's a delay valve in there, but man, it moves pretty good, man. Like
for its era, this would have been properly quick for sure.
It's good. I like that, right? Like an engine that you need to rev out. It kind of has that true M feeling of high rev and whatnot.
More like a motorsports motor should feel.
Yeah. Oh, spinning the tires.
Nice.
See, it just comes alive, man. Wow.
It does almost feel like a VTEC crossover here.
It's so good.
Yeah, it's funny.
The steering wheel's crooked. Okay. You know, it certainly needs alignment. Like, check out the slop in this. There's some work that needs to be done there.
Is it a rack or a box?
Good question. Great question. I think it's a box.
Yeah, I was going to say.
I think most of the cars from this era are boxes, so they're a little loose and sloppy. I'm sure the suspension, all the arms and whatnot need to be replaced.
Early airbag too.
Tighten it up. Yeah, this is an airbag, man, which is pretty cool.
It's the only airbag in the whole car, so I'm risking my life over here for you.
Yeah. No, these cars were built well. Like size-wise, I really do like this size. I prefer this size to the E39. Like that car is definitely more spacious. It kind of feels more North American. Yes. Where this kind of has like that German and nimble, you know, size
more
inside.
Car-ish feeling.
Yes.
Size.
Yes.
And I imagine it's a fair bit lighter than the E39. I got to imagine
I'm sure it has to be. It has to be, right? Every generation always gets fatter. The E28, I think, was the purest one of them all, and then this one came along and whatnot. There is some weird noise. I don't know if you can hear it. It's really hard to tell, but
oh yeah,
you hear that?
Yeah, it's like a
right there. It's like a whirring.
A whirring noise. Yeah. What is that? Is that the clutch?
I don't know. No, I don't know what it is.
Because you were kind of coasting with the clutch in there.
Yeah,
right?
no, yeah, it's not clutch related. I don't know what it is.
Could it just be HVAC related?
Could be. You never know.
Squirrel action in the vents?
You never ever know. So the seats, though, I think I prefer these seats over the E39 ones. Like those ones are bolstered as well, but the bolstering on these,
they're very nice.
It's really, really nice.
They're the right size too. Like I find the E39 ones are a little oversized, a little overstuffed.
Yes.
These feel more firm and supportive.
Yeah.
I really like the style of it. It's got a really cool, you know, slightly vintage vibe to it. But style-wise, I think it's a really cool looking car.
It really is. All right, guys, that is going to be a wrap on this one. I hope you enjoyed a quick peek at this E34 M5. Sadly, there aren't going to be videos rolling out anytime soon on it. We've got plenty of other cars to work on, including that E39 M5 that I'm really stoked for. So stay tuned. I'm hoping in the next 3 to 4 months I'll get to this car, and what I'm going to do with it is just like a simple restoration job on it. So not go overly deep, but fix all the problem areas that you guys saw so I can have myself a real awesome daily driver. So thank you for watching. As always, if you like this video, certainly give me a thumbs up. Think about subscribing and hit that notification bell. And if you're feeling generous, go check out Patreon and donate a couple bucks to us.